Paper or digital revision materials for sixth form. This is quite a divisive topic. I'm going to give some pros of each side. Me personally, I made all of my notes during lessons online except for maths and biology, but pretty much all of my revision materials were made on paper except for a few exceptions which I will discuss. First, let's talk about the advantages of making your revision resources online on a software like Quizlet or Anki. I think obviously the main thing is that they are completely portable. You can revise anywhere, anytime on your phone or your laptop. Another pro is that they can be quicker to make, as you can copy and paste information from online or the specification, plus there might be pre-made resources available that you can use for the whole specification. Another pro is that these sorts of websites can provide sort of active recall techniques already built into the website, so if you're less familiar with how to revise, this might be a better alternative for you. Plus, it can feel more motivating to sit there and hear the nice sound effects. It can be quite helpful for motivation. The main subject that I used digital flashcards for was biology, and that is because the spec was just too huge to try and make paper resources for. I tried this at the start of year 12, and a few months in I realised it was just going to be impossible to make notes at the speed I was going, so I just stopped and I focused on using digital pre-made resources. But now let's talk about why I chose to make paper resources where possible for my other subjects. For me, the main pro was in terms of memory, and that's because I really like writing something out, because for me it just feels more tangible and it feels like the information is actually going into my head, and you have to do a lot of summarising when you make flashcards or paper resources, and that is a really helpful memory technique. Obviously this won't be the same for everyone, so if that's not the case for you, don't worry, it doesn't matter. Another pro is that in my opinion you can be a bit more flexible with how you use the resources. You can use them for multiple different active recall techniques such as blurting, mind map blurting, look, cover, write, check, explain it to a class, speaking it out loud, looking at it with a friend. All those things are possible because you've made that own paper resource and you're not constricted to how a website or an app wants you to use the information. Another advantage is that you might find it easier to focus if you're not on a screen the whole time, just because, I don't know, it can be easier when you're just there, you've got paper, you haven't got loads of distractions, notifications, tabs, you've just got paper, you can't suddenly switch tabs and be on TikTok. Another pro is that if you are a visual learner, you might benefit from highlighting and colour coding and drawing things out, and that is really only possible on paper. So which should you use? Well, unfortunately, it really is up to you. I know that's not a very helpful or satisfying answer, but it depends on what type of learner you are. If you think you will lose motivation quickly, you don't know how to get started, and you don't really know how to revise, I might recommend starting with digital resources because it really takes you through the process quite easily. But if you're looking to be more flexible with your revision and you have a lot of motivation yourself, maybe opt for paper. Either way, both are very, very successful modes of revision, so it doesn't really matter.